Tonight, another grisly discovery in a Richmond Hill home.
It's people dead and it's just next to you, so it's shocking.
2 people found dead during a wellness check less than a week after 3 people were found dead in a home not far away.
Our daughter, who passed away just over 2 years ago, was in and out of the hospital here. They helped revive her. Without them, we would have had 4 years less.
Plus, heated over health care. We're in Bracebridge at a contentious meeting around hospital building plans. Why even a group of doctors says it could be bad for patients.
It's something that is long overdue.
I have to wonder how much benefit is being brought by these lanes compared to the enormous cost.
And Toronto's bus debate speeds ahead after councillors approve more dedicated bus lanes. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. Starting tonight in Richmond Hill, York police say 2 people were found dead yesterday when officers were responding to a wellness check. Investigators say it's an isolated incident and there's no threat to the public, but it comes less than a week after 3 people were found dead in a home not far away. Imam begins our coverage tonight.
Shock and worry in a Richmond Hill neighborhood after residents learn about the death of 2 of their neighbors.
It's people dead and it's just next to you, so it's shocking.
York police say on Monday morning, officers responded to this home near North Lake Road and Bayview Avenue. They say they were responding to a wellness check and found 2 people dead inside the home. The cause of death has not been determined.
We're very cautious to release any information. Obviously, it's early in the investigation, and with 2 deaths, it becomes a bigger investigation, as with any homicide would be.
Police say they won't release more information until the identity of the 2 victims have been confirmed and the next of kin have been notified. A day after the incident, a heavy police presence remained at the house. Police officers investigating the crime scene and interviewing neighbors. Neighbors tell me the couple was in their 70s and has lived here for 4 decades. They describe the couple as kind and caring, who would share food with them during the holidays and a beer with them in the summer. And one neighbor even described the man as a father figure in his life. Meanwhile, York police are still investigating after 3 people were found dead in a home last week, just nearly 10 kilometers away near Yonge Street and Carville Road, also in Richmond Hill. Police say in that incident as well, they were responding to a wellness check, but they say these 2 incidents are not related.
It's just completely unfortunate that they've happened so close together, and both, again, obviously in Richmond Hill.
Back at this latest crime scene, officers say it's an isolated incident and there's no threat to public safety. Still, some neighbors say they're concerned.
You feel less safe?
Police say a postmortem is expected in the coming days. Imam, CBC News, Toronto.
In Toronto, investigators are appealing for the public's help with the city's latest homicide. It happened early this morning just south of Bloor and Lansdowne in the West End.
Anyone who may find anything discarded near their house that might be of concern. Cameras of always importance. If anyone in this area has some cameras, take a look to see if it catches anything unusual or anything along the street here is obviously of great importance to notify the Toronto Police.
Officers were called to the area around 1:30 this morning. Investigators say the victim, a man believed to be around 20, was rushed to hospital with gunshot wounds but was later pronounced dead. Another shooting victim turned up for treatment in hospital overnight with less serious injuries, and police are trying to determine if that man's shooting is connected to the murder investigation. Turning next to a contentious meeting that just wrapped up in Cottage Country tonight about the state of health care there. Hospital building plans in Muskoka have some residents upset, and local doctors are even sounding the alarm, saying the plan could be bad for patients. Lorenda Redekop was at the meeting. Lorenda, you've been covering this all day long. What happened at the meeting?
Well, Chris, there were hundreds of people there, lots of passion in that room, and almost everyone who went to the meeting was upset, incredibly upset. There are plans for 2 new hospitals to be built in this region. Sounds like good news when you've got new hospitals being built, but the thing is that the one site planned for Huntsville, it would have a whole lot more inpatient beds and deal with more of the serious issues, while the site planned for Bracebridge would have just 14 inpatient beds plus 4 ICU beds and deal with more of the less serious issues. Plus all of the pregnancy care that would be shipped off to Huntsville. So people are very upset. Some of the people who came to this meeting, they have very personal reasons for being so connected to this hospital. I spoke with one woman whose daughter actually died of leukemia a couple years ago. She herself dealt with very serious COVID issues, and then hospital staff found out that she actually had cancer. Here's a bit more from her.
To have to move everything to Huntsville is just tragic. It's just tragic. And it seems to me when they started moving the chemotherapy and the MRI, like the writing was almost on the wall.
Okay, so her concern laid out there very clearly. What is the hospital saying in reaction to all of this?
Well, the hospital CEO says that the current model, it's just not doable going forward, that this would all be too expensive to have 2 new hospitals that are both doing the same thing. And so says that this is cheaper and that it's way too expensive, and so that this change is needed.
On a regular basis, we are citing to one site our obstetrical program. We're also continuing to have overcapacity and overcrowding in our emergency departments, and I'm sure many of you have visited and seen that. So the longer we wait and the risk of going off schedule is that we'll continue to have overcrowding and overcapacity in our hospitals.
Now, the last person to speak at the meeting was the local MPP from the government side, Graydon Smith, who's also the former mayor of Bracebridge. His advice was he thinks people should just be taking a little bit more time. So this current plan, it may not be going forward. Chris?
All right, Lorenda Redekop reporting for us tonight in Bracebridge. Thank you, Lorenda.
You're welcome.
Now back here in Toronto, healthcare concerns were front and center as well. Workers from across the province demonstrating against the Ford government today. They're demanding higher wages and better working conditions amid ongoing contract negotiations. Greg Ross was there.
I'm gonna put one foot in front of the other.
They sang rally songs and chanted together in unison against the provincial government. Hundreds of healthcare workers from across the province gathered on Queen Street West outside the Sheraton Hotel.
Solidarity forever.
That's where representatives from the province were at the bargaining table with CUPE, one of the unions that represents healthcare workers.
The quality of patient care is suffering tremendously.
Michael Hurley is the president of the CUPE Hospitals Council. He says a lack of funding from the province has created poor working conditions.
The negotiations here are just a sideshow to the real problem in Ontario hospitals, which is the crisis, that's affecting so many emergency rooms at, hallway medicine and all those people, 1,350 on stretchers, the 107,000 waiting for surgeries.
CUPE receiving support from 4 other unions that represent healthcare workers.
Many of these protesters traveled for hours this morning by bus from all over the province to be a part of this rally.
Hi, I came from Ottawa today.
This man traveled with several of his colleagues by bus in hopes of getting their message across to the province.
Well, I hope they see unity. I hope they see that we can stand together.
Keep a moving on.
They say a lack of funding and resources is taking a toll on Ontario healthcare.
We lose over 10% of nurses and other staff every year, and we're not replacing them.
I've seen within the last 2 years, they just say, I'm out, I'm retiring, I just can't do this anymore because the working conditions are so poor.
But Premier Doug Ford had a very different message at a press conference today with the health minister to announce a new patient and surgical tower at Toronto Western Hospital.
Since 2018, we've added more than 80,000 nurses that have registered here in Ontario. We've also added well over 10,000 new doctors since 2018. And with those doctors, we're building new medical universities.
The union will give it all they've got, but at the end of the
Opposition leaders say they're not doing enough.
the provincial government has been sitting on billions of dollars, waiting for a so-called rainy day, not spending the money that they've actually allocated for healthcare. We need them to spend that money. We need them to invest.
Our fight is your fight.
The unions that represent healthcare workers in the province are demanding a 5% funding increase beyond inflation. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
A quick note for you about Premier Ford for tomorrow. He's set to meet with his Alberta counterpart Danielle Smith for a breakfast meeting in the morning, just days after Smith unveiled a new controversial policy for transgender youth. Smith is in Ontario to advocate for her province, and the two are set to speak about the carbon tax and economic growth. But the meeting comes in the wake of Alberta's new transgender policy, which will require schools to notify parents if a child changes their pronouns or wants to change their name. It also prohibits anyone under the age of 18 from having gender-affirming surgeries and puts limits on puberty blockers for young people. Ford said earlier this week he has no plans to make any changes for transgender youth in this province. Looking live at the city tonight, it is -1 right now, heading to a low of -3 overnight. And tomorrow, it's going to be mainly sunny and unseasonably warm again. Normal highs for this time of year are -2, but tomorrow, expect a high of 4 degrees, and then it gets even warmer after that. Victor Paolo will be here later in the show to walk us through how warm it'll get and when we can anticipate a return to more normal temperatures. Now to another big day at City Hall, where there was a heated debate about adding more dedicated bus lanes. In the end, councillors voted to approve developing more for the city. It is something that's been on the radar since 2019, but as Tyler Cheese tells us, less than 10 kilometers of bus-only lanes exist right now.
All these people deserve safe, reliable, affordable transit.
City Council supported the mayor's call for more dedicated bus lanes today.
For a lot of these 2.3 million people that take TTC, they don't have any other alternatives. And if they show up at work late because the bus was stuck in traffic, they could lose their job.
Councillors approved a motion asking city staff to develop new bus-only lanes on 4 streets: Finch Avenue East, Dufferin Street, Lawrence Avenue East, and Steeles Avenue West. In late 2020, the city installed 8.5 kilometers of bus-only lanes on Eglinton Avenue East, Kingston Road, and Morningside Drive. But that's the only project that's been completed since the 2019 introduction of the Rapid TO plan to provide faster and more reliable trips for transit users.
Transit riders cannot wait.
Chow says that plan hasn't been moving fast enough.
Let's get it back on track, and so that transit riders will not be stuck in traffic.
Members of council, if you're not...
But not everyone agrees with the mayor.
I have to wonder how much benefit is being brought by these lanes compared to the enormous cost and the pressure that it's going to put on the automobile drivers that are stuck with the one remaining lane on the street.
Transit advocates, however, are applauding the decision.
It's something that is long overdue, that transit riders have been speaking out about for years. Transit priority measures can benefit everybody by speeding up public transit, getting more cars off the road, help to meet our climate goals.
City staff will now conduct consultations ahead of presenting designs for each of the bus lanes to council. In the meantime, an amendment included in today's decision requests that the TTC take immediate steps to alleviate overcrowding and improve service on the Dufferin 29 bus route. The route recently received a mock award for being Toronto's slowest, with a peak travel time of 10.6 kilometers per hour. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Thousands of people are calling on the University of Toronto to reinstate an imam. U of T's Scarborough campus cut ties with Omar Patel after a social media post comparing Israelis to Nazis was attributed to him. Patel says he has nothing to do with the post, and the school did not give him due process, leaving thousands of Muslim students without a critical resource. Dalman Ukduk has the story.
Imam Omar Patel sits in U of T Scarborough's prayer room with students, but he's there as a visitor. His volunteer position as chaplain, which he held for 9 years, was terminated 2 weeks ago. It's a community-funded role free to students that the school describes as critical.
I loved working with the students at U of T. I loved working with administration. I had an extremely good relationship with them, which is why I thought, hey, everything is going to be okay because the university trusts me and I trust them to do an investigation that is unbiased.
On December 1st, school administration asked Patel if he shared this post on social media on October 16th. U of T received the screenshot from an organization that supports Jewish students. In a statement to CBC Toronto, Hillel Ontario says Hillel received multiple reports and numerous screenshots about a disturbing social media post from the account Omar Patel. Upon receiving those reports, Hillel shared the screenshots in question with the University of Toronto and asked university officials to investigate the matter. Patel says the images are fake. CBC Toronto hasn't confirmed if they are doctored. However, Patel noted some design issues, which he pointed out to the school. Furthermore, the two social media handles on the image don't appear to exist. Hillel Ontario and the university wouldn't respond to questions regarding the month-and-a-half-long gap between when the image was first allegedly posted and when it was brought to Omar Patel's attention. They also wouldn't address the concerns regarding the authenticity of the image. In a statement, the school says a thorough fact-finding investigation was conducted, resulting in appropriate action.
His role was essential because any Muslim student that wanted specific or that had specific needs could go to him at any time.
There's been an overflow of support for Patel. An online petition to reinstate him has generated roughly 4,000 signatures.
Being able to provide timely and accessible mental health supports and ones that are spiritually informed, that understand the religious values that these students have, is honestly a one-of-a-kind service on campus for a lot of Muslim students.
For now, Patel says he'll continue to nurture the relationships he's built over nearly a decade.
Diving deep through their trauma, anxiety, depression, ensuring that they get better, they're more mentally sound, psychologically safe, spiritually more aware, to ensure that they have the necessary tools to be able to, guide themselves through the difficulties and challenges and navigate through that on campus.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board released its January 2024 report this morning, giving us a look at what the real estate market could look like this year. And the report shows housing sales saw a big jump in the GTA last month. It was a 37% increase in January over January of last year, and a big jump compared to December. The board cites lower borrowing costs associated with fixed-rate mortgages as one cause for the boost. But the average home price dropped slightly, now sitting at just over $1 million. That's a 5% drop from the final month of 2023. We spoke with the president of RE/MAX Canada about what these numbers could mean for the rest of 2024, particularly for first-time homebuyers.
Typically, outside of the last 2 years, January and February can be pretty active months, and prices tend to creep up in a big way because of the limited inventory. We're not seeing the big price jumps yet, but certainly all of the signs are pointing to a busy market for the winter months. I'm certainly not seeing a lot of dramatic price cuts or drops, but the lower end of the market is much busier than it's been in a long time, and that's a sign of first-time home buyers and even some move-up buyers getting the confidence they've been lacking because of a consistent rate hold from the Bank of Canada. The big challenge has been affordability, and first-time home buyers, especially in Canada's most expensive cities, have been affected the most. But I do believe most of them were sitting on the sidelines waiting to make a buying decision, and all they really needed was some consistency with interest rates. And because the Bank of Canada has held firm now for several cycles, I believe that was the consistency they've been missing.
Meantime, a program that helps shelters and low-income renters right across the country is getting nearly $200 million additional dollars from the federal government.
Today, I'm announcing a $99 million top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit. This benefit helps make rent affordable by delivering rent support payments directly to Canadians. The finance minister also announced another $100 million for programs to help
shelters create more spaces for homeless people. The funding is going to 85 communities across the country to help them deliver temporary rental assistance and meals. Now onto weather and another sunny day with above normal temperatures expected tomorrow. Let's turn to Victor Paulo now with the long-range forecast.
Map of North America, taking a quick peek at it, well, we can see that Arctic air mass is working its way down towards where we're located. But what does that mean? Because currently right now, you can see a whole lot of mild temperatures around the southeast of Ontario where we're located, had a lot of sunshine, even above seasonal temperatures, including yesterday and tomorrow as well. But taking a look at what's happening for the long-range forecast, well, you can see that air mass does work its way up towards our weekend, which is why we'll be seeing close to double digits on Saturday. But as we get closer to Monday and Tuesday, you can see it moving its way right back down to where we're located. And we're expecting temperatures to get back to seasonal by the middle of next week. Also possibly the return of some snow as well. And things should be getting right back to regular scheduled winter as we all know it. But before we get there, let's talk about tonight. It's going to be -2, feeling like -4. Going to be a bit of cloud cover, but there will be a chance to see some stars if you're someone who likes to look up and take a look at them. Now, taking a look at that high pressure system, which I was speaking of before, this is what it looks like, and this is why we've been seeing not a lot of cloud cover where we're located, seeing a lot of bright, sunny days, and that's also contributing to what's going to be giving us a lot of cooler nights like we're going to be having tonight as well. But when we're getting towards Wednesday, we can see the increase of cloud cover, and we know with the increase of cloud cover, that makes things a lot warmer because that air can insulate. And as we do get closer towards your Thursday, we can see those clouds are bringing not only warmer air, but also some precipitation in the form of rain. Now here's what it's going to look like right around Thursday, closer to midnight as you are getting closer to your Friday morning, because your Friday morning will be a wet one as we're expecting that rain to continue all the way through to about Saturday. Now, quick look at our 3 and 7 day forecast. Some beautiful Wednesday and Thursday weather as it will be sunny with some above seasonal temperatures. But your Friday, Saturday will be a bit wet, but your Sunday will be cloudy, but the return of that sun on Monday and Tuesday. Hope you all have yourselves a lovely night. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Victor. We'll be right back. A big day for Canadian music. The nominations are out for this year's Juno Awards, announced today right here at the CBC Broadcast Centre.
The final nominees for this year's Juno Awards.
Montreal's Charlotte Cardin leads the way with 6 nominations, and Toronto R&B singer Daniel Caesar has 5. Both are nominated for Best Artist, Best Album, and Best Single. And while newer performers dominated, veteran acts are also on the list, and that includes Nickelback, the Arkells, and Shania Twain. And the Juno Award show is March 24th. Finally, tonight, it's been a difficult season for our Toronto Raptors, but today, something to celebrate. Raptors forward Scotty Barnes is officially an NBA All Star. Barnes and Atlanta's Trae Young were named as injury replacements on the Eastern Conference team for the 2024 NBA All Star game, and they will replace Philadelphia's Joel Embiid and New York's Julius Randle. You're watching CBC. We'll be right, or have a great night, everyone.